Yes, sir. The Formula Podcast. What's going on, y'all?
Hey, what's up, man? What's up? The room got a little, an additional person to the room right now. It's not just us two today.
I feel like I'm sitting between something now.
It's greatness. You're between greatness.
Okay, that's good. Good to know.
Oh, man. So as you know, we got RJ in the building and myself, Gary. And our guest today is...
Juliana Torres Mason. I am a copywriter and a storyteller.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for being here with us.
Of course. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm interested to know like how we got into copywriting, how we built a business around copywriting. Just that whole genre in general, like that's like super interesting to see how someone could like literally make a living off their words.
Yeah.
It's true. So I went to school for journalism, and I did that for about 10 years. I always wanted to be a journalist. I love telling stories, and so I went into it and loved it. But ironically enough, journalism doesn't pay well. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it's not a great industry to make a lot of money. So I was in there for 10 years, and I loved it, and got to learn how to tell stories in the community and to really identify how people are making an impact in the community. And then I went into the nonprofit world for about 5 years. I actually was a pastor in West Palm Beach for 3 years with my husband. And from that, was looking for a different way to go in a different direction and landed on copywriter. And I was the same way as you. Like, I hadn't really heard of this concept of copywriting. I knew how to write stories, but the making money bit was not something I was real familiar with. So, but yeah, I kind of learned, as I learned more about copywriting and more about what it was, just really was drawn to the storytelling part of everything and how, that's what I did in journalism, and that's what I wanted to do, particularly with copywriting, is just tell people stories and do it in a way that makes them money and helps build my business. So
I think that's really cool in the sense of you're using a lot of use words throughout your whole life as far as your career, using in journalism and in preaching, leading a flock. And I'm a preacher's kid, so no, just using those words and using just invoking different thoughts and feelings and things on paper, vocally. I see now too, and then now in copywriting. But for the viewers out there, can you break down just in a simple form what is copywriting?
Right. So copywriting is any kind of words that help sell something. That's essentially what it is. You're persuading people to do something, whether you're persuading them to join your movement or whether you're persuading them to actually buy a product or become a part of a community. That is essentially what copywriting is.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. And I'm going to jump in there as well. Let's see. When is the time where you notice that most people reach out to you for copywriting? I will tell you my experience, but I just want to see, like, just overall from your clients that usually reach out to you. Like, when is it like you see that, like, a common thread of them usually reaching out to you?
So people come to me when they have been doing what they're doing well for a little while, but they realize that they're having a disconnect between explaining what they do well and explaining it to the people that need to hear that. I can help them really identify their brand story and identify that value that they bring to their ideal customers and their ideal clients, or just their ideal donors and the people that want to be a part of their community. So that's where I can kind of help. Some people are good at speaking and they have the gift of the gab, and they're able to really explain what they do. And if you get them one-on-one in a room, they can talk about what they do all day long. But when they have to put those words to paper, they lost, right? Yeah. I really see the written word and spoken word as two different languages that almost have to be translated. So I can help them do that. I can take what they are explaining to other people and put it into words for their website, for any sort of marketing material, for social media, that sort of thing. So,
yeah, that's highly important, because you can have excellent ideas and excellent product and excellent business, service, whatever it is, but if you can't communicate what that is to people, then it means almost nothing. In addition to that, if you can't communicate your story behind it, it brings a different layer to things. Because sometimes people don't just purchase a product or purchase a service just because they like it or because they need it, but because they connect to the vision and the mission behind it. And that's definitely important to communicate that in a very profound way, to say the least. And it's beautiful. You merge that with what RJ does, is getting the visuals behind it that inspire actions over there, and then you merge that with the word part of it, at least the spoken or written word part of it. You can really give the consumers a dynamic or a captivating, something bait to pull them in, all together. So that's just beautiful.
Yeah. The way I see it, it's really, in today's world, you can go and purchase anything you want from across the whole world. So why are people going to purchase from you? Why are they going to connect with you in particular? A lot of times it comes down to a brand story, something that they really connect with you, some values that they hold alongside with you that is going to allow them to really want to become a loyal customer to you.
100%. Yeah, and that's even really good that you even mentioned brand story, because these are words, these are things that we hear all the time, right? We hear things like brand story. You hear things like your vision statement, your mission statement. You hear things like core values, right? These are like wonderful things. You hear them all the time, but I'm talking about when you're starting a business and you're running a business, from hearing it to actually having to have your own core values, your own vision statement, mission statement, brand story, it's a totally different thing. And it's very, I had a conversation with Juliana, and just through that conversation, like how she said that she usually has like conversation with people and then she transcribes it into into a word format. That's kind of like the same way. It's like, okay, how to develop someone's brand story. Like just through our conversation, I was able to understand, like say for instance, a vision is basically, what do you see the outcome being when someone's like, okay, everything goes with this video marketing campaign, goes great. What is the outcome ideally that I want it to be? And then the mission is like how we get you there. You know what I mean? So it's like, just like those two things help me write my own vision statement, write my own mission statement. I haven't got to the origin story yet, but I'm gonna get there. You know what I mean? But just like all of those things kind of bring, okay, I'm a video production company, but then this actually gives the video production company a DNA, like a personality, like a soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's all about connecting with your people, right? As we said, there's a million people out there that you can connect with, and we are like privileged this day and age to be able to really go find our unique community that is able to just resonate with what we do and how we do it. So when you are able to define your unique perspective and your unique voice and your unique brand story, that allows you to connect to those ideal people, and they're able to connect with you, and that's when the magic happens. So. And that's when you get to charge the big bucks.
Exactly. Because you're adding a different layer, and for any entrepreneur, the whole point is, of course, to have that vision and have it come into fruition. But to keep those wheels going, you need client acquisition, right? You need money, bottom line. So I see copywriting as another tool to captivate that audience and to and do that well at the end of the day. Because if you have a business that's pretty much broad in general, why would somebody come to you? So if you can carve out that lane and explain what your lane is in very defined lines, people know exactly what to come to you for. People will know exactly what not to come to you for. So you're not wasting a lot of your time as well. And in our last episode, we were talking about a little bit of that origin story for myself. I was practicing. I knew I wanted to be a corporate attorney. But right out of law school, I started my firm, and I was practicing door law, right? So a lot of people just come, whatever came through the door, that's what I was going to practice, right? So whatever problem you had, so I
didn't know there was a term for that.
It's an unofficial term. If that door opens, I'm happy. Look, whatever you got going on, you got a parking ticket, great. We'll go fight this parking ticket, whatever it is. But once you break that down and we get down to the core of it, you're talking about the DNA of it. The copywriting definitely breaks down your DNA of your business, of your vision, of your mission, and that really helps to carve out that lane. So that way you're not just shooting around. You know, you can really get down and direct to what you want to do. You know, yeah.
And the one benefit that's amazing too is when you are able to niche down, you become an expert in that. The more you do it over and over again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time someone comes to you and like, okay, how do I do this parking ticket now? Like I've never done this before. So, but yeah, once you become that expert and you have people continually coming to you for the same thing, it becomes easier to give the service over and over again and for a higher value. Like who doesn't want to do that?
Yes. And yeah, it's something that you preach all the time.
Yeah, 900%. Yeah. Build that system and do it over and over and over again. Yeah. The amazing thing about that with the system, and this is why me and Juliana connected, as well as Gary, is that we're really big on partnerships, right? Of course, delegation, having a team, and as business owners looking to grow the company, it's good to build partnerships and have a team, and then trust your team, right? So like with that, like, I believe where did we meet? We met at Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce.
We did, yes.
Yeah. So Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce, they have like smaller groups for like nonprofits, like different groups or whatever like that. So they had a nonprofit breakfast. I was in there. I was like, okay, let me go there to, of course, meet other nonprofits that I could possibly meet, help tell their story. Yeah. And who do I meet? First time going in, Juliana. I was like, what do you do? She's like, oh, I'm a copywriter and I help nonprofits tell their story. I was like, perfect. That's what I do, but in a visual sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So automatically in my head, I was like, this would be a great partnership. You know, because I work with nonprofits, she work with nonprofits. She handles the words, I do the visuals. So automatically I seen a potential partnerships from that. And even with that, partnerships and stuff like that, like, can you talk to me a little bit about the benefits that you've seen as far as like growing your company in the copywriting space, as far as like partnering, whether it's like a video production agency or whether it's a advertising firm? How have you seen partnerships as far as helping you grow your company and being able to help other companies tell their message? How's that work for your company so far?
Yeah, I think it goes right in with doing what you do well, right? If I'm able to partner with somebody who, for instance, does websites well and develops and designs websites, and I can come in and just create amazing words for those websites, then I'm able to do what I do well and they're able to do what they do well, and we get this awesome product at the end, right? And so that just allows our businesses both to expand. I'm partnered with a website developer, and she comes to me when her clients are like, I don't know what to say here. Like a lot of times website will tell you like you can write your own copy, or we can help you with it. But so a lot of times they'll try to do it first, and then if they just get completely stuck, she'll call me, and I sit down with them and help them. But that allows her to give this extra value to her clients, and then it's the same way for me. If I know a client that is going to be good for what she's doing well, then we trade that sort of service and we extend the value we provide our clients even more.
Yeah. I think that's pretty great, but I have a question it's kind of directed at both of you guys.
Sure.
So you guys are in a space where you're trying to tell your client's story to the world and to their target audience as well. What questions do you ask your clients initially to get that DNA? Because sometimes they don't know what it is, right? They're starting off and they're just trying to make some money and stay afloat. But how you get them to settle down into that lane, and how do you direct them into that space?
You want me to take off?
Either of you guys.
I mean, for me, I like to go through, of course, have conversations, but I like to have certain exercises.
Okay.
So I have a couple of exercises that I do with my clients to get them just like brainstorming and talking about their brand, talking about their customers. So one of the exercises I like to do with my clients is called a brand attribute exercise. And I make like 6 categories. Like one category would be culture, another category would be audience, another category would be a voice, impact, X factor, right? So is that 6? Well, it's close enough. I'm thinking of feeling, voice, feeling, voice, feeling, whatever. So, but you get the point. Yeah. Basically, how do they want to sound? What's their voice? So what's adjective words that represent how do you want people to feel when they interact with your brand or your visuals online, right? What's your culture? What's some of the adjectives that represent your culture? Outgoing, is it more of a conservative brand? Is it a more of like educational? Like so just kind of just doing an exercise where they have their team and my team helping them like push out these words of what describes their brand. Yeah. That's like one exercise that really helps. But just going through a series of different exercises like that to kind of get them talking about their brand, their messaging, their audience, the impact they want to make, how they want people to feel when they interact with their brand. Is there, like just basically getting them to talk as much as possible about the impact they want to make and who they're making that change and impact for.
Yeah, and I think for me, I do a lot of that same work as well. A lot of times it comes down to having them think about who they want to work for more. Like a lot of times you get started and it's just like the door policy, right? Yeah. Whoever comes in the door is who I'm going to work with. Yeah. But once you are going and you've been taking some more clients and you have starting to build your systems, you can really start to nail down like, okay, these people I like working for, I like working when they're here and when they have these attributes to them. And I don't like it if they're this and they are confused about this. I can't handle this. Like you start defining that. And then, so I have them go through the kind of that exercise. Like, what do you want to actually do more of? Like, I did this one project and it was amazing. Why was it amazing? Like, what about it? What helped you perform really well in that circumstances? And how do we replicate that, right? How do we find you more clients like that? And then from there, I'll do some market research with them as well. Well, we'll actually go to their clients and talk to them and find out what the value is that they bring. Sometimes we are so wrapped up in our own bubble, it's hard to see what you're delivering to other people. Yeah. You think maybe, I'm just a really fun person and that's why people want to work with me. But actually, they love that you're on time all the time and you deliver high quality products. And that's the thing that they value. And so when we are able to talk to the customers and when we're able to kind of look outside of your own customer base to some of your competition, you can start to define exactly how you are different than other companies, how you're different than your competitors, how you're different just in the space that you're working. And that helps really explain what your unique, your X factor, I love that as a concept, but your X factor is that you're delivering, and that helps create the brand story, right?
Yeah, I totally co-sign that. Market research is by far the best source to create content.
Yeah.
That's the best source.
Say it one more time.
The best source. It's going direct to the customers, direct to their clients, and asking them, why do you like buying from them?
Yeah, that is huge because a lot of times as new business owners, we get caught up in the next customer because we look at things as dollar signs sometimes. We kind of get lost into capitalism and versus our vision altogether. But it is important to go back to that customer like you guys are doing and you guys are talking about now to see what it is that you did do right. Because if we're always going to the next one, sometimes you might know when the next one is coming. So by going back and breaking it down and see all the quantitative, all the qualitative data, we kind of reorient ourselves to focus into that market and really get more customers. Sometimes going back is another way to go forward as well. Sure. To say.
Yeah, and you'll find places where you can improve too. I always ask that as part of the kind of client offboarding process. How could I have done this better? What was kind of a sticking point for us? What slowed everything down, and that helps too. So.
That's a term right there, offboarding process. Right there, offboarding, because we do a lot of onboarding.
Right.
But then after we serve that client, we're already pivoting to the next one.
That's true.
So you got to offboard those clients.
Yeah, it's important to close that relationship because that builds a bridge to the next project a lot of times too.
For me, I probably like even the offboarding process and the onboarding. I didn't really thoroughly start building the onboarding process till about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Right. And of course, that's always improving as you work with clients and the expectation. And sometimes you may not have delivered. It's like, okay, maybe I should have improved maybe I should add this into the onboarding process to make sure we have clarity going forward, right?
Yeah.
Then the offboarding process, I probably started trying to implement that probably about a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like it's just a check-in call will help. It's just like, hey, after the project, let's do a post-production call. After the final delivery, just doing a check-in call afterwards and just ask them, just like what Juliana said, is like, okay, how can we improve better? What did you like about the project that we done so far? And sometimes I've used that moment as like I could do two things, right? So I get their feedback, and plus I get a video review at the same time, and it's raw, real uncut. It don't have to be the most edited testimonial, but hey, why did you enjoy working with us? Would you refer us to anybody else? I mean, if they don't go to Google as well with that, now we hitting 3 points. Like, like go on Google as we on this Zoom call, you know, and repeat what you just said to me,
Write it down.
So that's part of the offboarding process. What you may not even, that I've overlooked, is that it helps with getting those 5-star reviews on your Google and your social medias and stuff like that, as well as getting those video reviews that you could use.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It just, just a quick call. I sometimes just even do a phone call, though I should start recording it. That would be good. But I do usually have my co-writer follow up and get a testimonial then, and she'll talk with them, and then I have that piece too. So that's good.
She said co-writer. I know where you was about to go with it.
Oh, no, I was going to say something else. Go ahead with the co-writer.
Because like how we always talking about partnerships, right?
Yeah.
It's important to so she didn't mention the partnerships. I heard co-writer, so that means she got some type of partnerships going on in the company. The company is not just Juliana.
No,
right?
It's growing a little bit.
It's not just Juliana.
Good.
It's pieces to this thing. So I'm just interested, like what drew you to bring in a partnership as a co-writer, or what are other partnerships that you have in your company, and what other partnerships do you see that you may want to bring into your company?
Okay. So the very first person I brought in, and even when I was just first starting out, my journalism background, when we write something, we always have, in journalism, it's 2 people look at it, but you want 2 people's eyes on it before it goes out into the world, right? So you don't have mistakes. So I was like, well, probably not gonna have 2 people's eyes on it, but who can I bring in to I need a copy editor. That was the main thing. So I reached out to a woman that I knew from my journalism days and brought her on to copy edit for me. So all my copy goes through her. After I've written it, she goes through, and a lot of times she might not even find very much things, but it gives me that extra confidence that what I'm giving back to the client is been proofed, been looked at. There's not some dumb mistake that I completely missed in the copy. So that was my first thing. And then she's now started helping me with different writing projects as well. And then I have a VA that helps me with some project management to keep things flowing. She helped me create those onboarding and offboarding processes, which was key. I work with a web developer who I do a lot of stuff online, and sometimes we even get into the point where we're helping people develop their websites as well as writing their copy. They kind of go hand in hand sometimes. So she does all the things that when we get into the coding, I'm just like, I could spend 50 hours trying to figure this out, and you could do it in 3.5 minutes, so I'm going to let you do it. So she helps me with that. And then I have a graphic designer that helps me with some social media that we do, and create all those magic images that help. So on a basis. So yeah, those are my key partnerships now. And I just work with them on a contractual basis, kind of per project, and that works out well. So I would like to bring on more writers. I think when I grow to the space where I have more projects that I can personally write, then I have started creating processes for passing off those projects and how I do my unique thing to other people. So that's kind of where the growth will happen in the future. But yeah.
I mean, as far as I don't know this question. How do you balance? Because a lot of things are online. how do you balance like things like SEO, algorithm, all that stuff compared to as opposed to your client's vision and what they want to speak into? Like, are you only focusing on what your clients wants to say, or are you trying to tailor that to a strategy as well?
Yes, we definitely talk about strategy when I'm trying to identify their unique X factors and all those sorts of things. And there are different strategies for different things. So SEO is one strategy, but it's not always something that we use. So SEO is kind of a long-term strategy, right? You're going to have your words on your website, and they're over time going to build more traffic and pull in more people. But that's a long-term goal. Like, especially if you're just starting out and you're in a crowded space, like, you're going to have some competition going with you. But what might be a more impactful objective is to build that audience, right? That your unique perspective. So we'll work on that more. And we might still add some SEO in. So while we're talking about your thought leadership in a particular area, we'll still target some SEO that allows you down the line to really rank in the traffics. But the key factor is to create that authoritative thought leadership that allows you to speak to your people and resonate with them. That's, I think, the more impactful way to do marketing, especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I like that terminology as far as thought leadership, because you become that center of influence, because you get to be a leader together, and you get to really pave the way for how you see your industry or you see your business and get those things done. So that's highly impactful. That's definitely a different strategy. A lot of people, when they start businesses, they just want the SEO. They want that's what I'm saying. The SEO, hashtags, the whatever. Find me, see me. But you can actually do something on your end as far as building something, a community where you have a lot more control and impact directly under your control, as opposed to just seeing what's going to stick out there in the universe and on this internet and whatever platform you want to use.
yeah, and if you have a clear idea as to who your audience is and who you want your audience to be, and it's a very like specific group, then you can talk to them and you'll eventually reach them. Whereas if you just like think about it as gathering people into a room where then you can stand on a stage and speak to them, as opposed to just going out in the middle of the street and standing on a soapbox and talking. Like, you're not going to get the same level of interaction as if you tailor your audience and gather the people that are actually going to buy your products or actually going to buy your services in a space where you can talk to them. That's the ideal.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. Yeah, because everybody wants to be on that soapbox. It looks
Everyone
good.
wants to be on that soapbox.
It looks good. It looks good, but what are you actually doing though? You know, what impact are you actually having just by speaking out there and seeing who's going to pull in versus building that community?
Yeah, I mean, you can. The whole dartboard method is, and it's a good way to start off. If you don't know like kind of where you want to be working and who you want to be working with, throw some darts at that dartboard. You know, figure out what you want to do. But the faster you can niche down, the faster you're going to start being that authority, and the faster you can start charging those higher rates.
Exactly.
100%. And even with that, it's like the fastest you can understand. Like, sometimes niching down is just a solution. Like, what's that main solution? Okay, this person want emails. That's the solution. That's my niche. I help people get a lot of emails.
Yeah. There you go. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah. Some people might want phone calls. I help people get a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
You know,
that's it.
Like, that's what my videos do. If you need a phone call, I'm the guy to call.
That's it.
You the phone call.
You phone call? I got to call.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Being a business owner and starting off my firm, I was trying to see what sticks. I was going to every network event you could think of. I was driving anywhere. I was on an Eventbrite. I was here. I was there. I thought I had to go to every single lawyer league, put on a suit and tie, pretend like I'm somebody, whatever. And those things are not working at all, because your competition doesn't pay you. You know, a lot of times you go enter into an industry and you think you have to build this community within the industry and other like-minded professionals or service workers, whatever the case may be. But it's the consumer. I'm talking to different lawyers. I'm in rooms with people who do the same thing that I do. So if they find something that could be a benefit to me, they're going to hog it, because we're competing against each other. You know, not to be nice or not nice, whatever. Just the nature of business, bottom line. And I started thinking like, wait, who is my final consumer? Of course, entrepreneurs, business owners. Where do they congregate? Where are they? Like, where do they eat? Where do they swim? Where do they drive their cars? Where do they get their car fixed? Where do they like to read? What do they like to read? Who is an entrepreneur? And then I realized I'm an entrepreneur. Wow, what am I looking for? I'm looking for
looking for myself.
Yeah, I'm looking for people to work with. End of the day, so again, finding that need. What do you need? So I came across an Eventbrite. This it's an event called Entree. It's down in Miami, and it's just entrepreneurs, and they have different classes that you can take, and they're not necessarily like formal classes. You can walk in there one evening, they're giving a little beer, a little wine. You can walk in and sit down with a chiropractor. He's teaching people for 30 minutes how to sit in a chair, how to sit in a desk. You go to the other side, there's somebody from Amazon talking about distribution and logistics. Someone else could be talking about this how you get into film. Another person could talk about this how you get into commercial real estate or whatever case it be. Or you have different lawyers come in, different doctors come in, and it all pertains to entrepreneurship. So everybody attending these things and networking are all entrepreneurs. And what happened was I came from a place where I'm the only lawyer in the room. I was one of 100 lawyers in the room to now being the only lawyer in the room full of entrepreneurs. So now I'm so much more valuable, in that space. And then from there, finding different networking spaces to go into as well. So I heard about this organization called BNI, Business Network International, and it's a bit of a strange rule in there. You can only have one classification per chapter. So I'm a corporate/business attorney, so there can't be another corporate business attorney in that chapter. So I was looking all around Broward County. I wasn't going down to Dade County for those early meetings, but all around Broward County, everybody had a business attorney in their chapter. And I came across this really, really tall man with a bald head named Marty Elberg. And he's like, hey, our business attorney just left. Hop on in. So I came on in. And it's, again, more networks, more referrals, and again, being valuable in that space, because when you're the only classification in that group, you are the only classification in that group. So people who need you really do need you. So it's really about not just staying on the soapbox and seeing what sticks, because on that soapbox, it's from a, not to get too metaphorical, on that point, you're standing on something. You look like you're above everybody. You're on a platform. And it looks good to be that influencer, to be that person who's always on Instagram or whatever, and people see you and get all the likes. But what are you actually doing? So are you actually making money? Are you actually doing business? You could go on different podcasts, different videos where people speak about, I had 2 million followers while sleeping on a mattress under a basement. You know what I'm saying? It means almost nothing if you're not connecting with the people that you actually want to serve. So get into, in my experience, and from what you're saying as well, get into spaces where you are valued and you do have a community. People actually do need you, so it can lead to the next project and so on and so forth. And also getting to spaces where you have a network of referrals and people that when you don't do something because outside of your lane that you carved out, that you can eloquently can communicate to your audience through copywriting and your visuals and your photos and everything. So when you don't do something within that lane, you can pass it off to somebody else. Right, and that makes you more valuable as well, because you're still taking care of that consumer. So when they do need you and they understand even better what you can provide and what you can do, they can all circle back to you or send more people back to you as well. Just to piggyback off of that.
That's good. Yeah. And I think it takes a little homework to figure out what your audience is, right? You have to really think about that and start creating that avatar that is who you want to speak to. And then you can start thinking about where they're going to be, how they're going to be interacting, what they're going to be wanting to consume, and then you get in those spaces. And then that's where the magic happens. So.
And do it and start this weekend. Start today. Pull up today. Right? And
right now, today.
And just like how you was talking too, like you used to go to a lot of networking events. I used to see at a lot of different networking events. So as a photographer, that's like what I used to do is like, okay, I'm gonna use this because back in the day I used to be a rapper.
Hey.
I used to be a rapper.
RG on the beat.
Yeah. I've not heard you do any
they used to call me 25 Cent. For real. And 50 Cent came out in my career. So I had to find different things to do.
You messed up your whole niche.
Yeah. Quarter coming to the stage. Yeah, I used to do my thing though, man, for real. Look it up, 25 Cent. From Fort Lauderdale, Broward County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Underground.
Yeah. Used to to be doing it. But now, like, as a rapper, it's like, I remember one time we used to have this rap group, and it was like, everybody in the group was rappers. And I'm like, bro, we are never going to be successful doing this.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is rappers, bro. Like, somebody has to be a producer. So then we start, like, finding friends. It's like, okay, oh, you're a producer? All right, come on into the group, because we can help you and you can help us. Because you're a producer, you need somebody to rap on your beats. Yeah. You can engineer, do your thing, and we're rappers. And it's like, okay, now we have a manager. Let's find a manager. Okay, now let's find somebody that sings. You know what I mean? Like, adding different things into the group, right? And as a photographer, in our industry, a lot of times photographers, videographers, we always, and it's good to connect with people that's other photographers as well, but you want to connect to your clients, right? So it's like, for me, I did events like that. I was like, I want to work in city events. I want to do like corporate events. I don't want to do baby showers. So first thing I did was I went to each city and I found out what type of local events they was having that was free. So then I go to those events and I walk around like they hired me. And like literally I say, hey, I'm here with Broward County, you know what I'm here with Lauderdale Lakes, the city of Lauderdale Lakes, until I bump into the person that actually works for the city of Lauderdale Lakes, and they say, oh, who hired you?
Advocating for this.
And they say, who hired you? I was like, oh, well, you the person I've been looking for this whole time.
Also,
you hired me.
So you found them. There you go.
You the person I've been looking for this whole time. Well, I'm a freelance photographer. I'm gonna send you these images and send me the copyright. Just put my name on there, this, and the third. But at least it introduced me to a relationship. And then the people that's at the event, those are families. Those are people that might be business owners. Those are people that might be doing things in the community. You dig what I'm saying? Like, hey, here's my card. So now I start building a network of like people outside of just being a photographer or a videographer. And I mean, people that's gonna hire you for these city events, for these different corporate events and things like that. And I found that was super valuable. But even with working with people within my industry, I developed like strategic partnerships. So like, let's say for instance, I know a photographer that's been in the game way longer than me, got a lot of work, been super busy. I'm like, hey, let me help you carry your bags. You don't even gotta pay me. You understand? Like, I just need to be around you. I just need to be able to assist you on your jobs. Now, I know you're super busy and you can't do every single job. Let me be your second shooter. You know what I mean? You work with him as a second shooter long enough, then he's going to trust you to do jobs on your own. So shout out to David Muir. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally how our relationship started. I seen him at an event. I knew he was a photographer. I've been studying his work for a long time. Hey, let me help you. And then that carried on to us doing so many projects. Even 3-4 years later, I still do projects with him every couple of months, every month or so, and then like partnerships with, like, say for instance, Juliana. She's a copywriter. She's in a whole different lane. Partnerships with you. You know what I mean? You're a business lawyer. You work with a bunch of different businesses. So that's a great referral right there. You know what I mean? And like even marketing agencies. That's like one of my favorite partnerships, because they already have a list of clients they need some type of consistent thing. So what I've developed is like, okay, this is one package for partnerships. I know I'm gonna be doing partnerships. I know I'm gonna be working with marketing agencies. So I'm gonna create a custom situation, because it's gonna be the same situation in every partnership. And then for potential clients, it's gonna be the same relationship with each potential client. Exactly. They're going to be, the only difference is the amount of work they might be giving us, but it's the same process every time with each client. So building those partnerships and having a workflow of like, okay, this is what I want from a partnership. You know what I mean? This is the best partnerships. And sometimes you might not know what you want from a partnership. So it's like, just starting a partnership, like even in the beginning, me and you was like, okay, let's figure this thing out. I don't know how we gonna make money together, but you are talented, I'm talented. Let's figure this thing out.
And it'll come.
And that's exactly what's happening is like someone else in a different genre, whether it's a graphic designer and you're a copywriter, seeing the value of like, hey, this would be a strategic partnership if we could come together and do something. Like, my clients are going to need your work, so let's do it together. 100%.
You never know where and that's, you just have to try things. Bottom line is it's trial and error. Whether it be trying to figure out Well, I like to say like where to lay your trap. So like whatever you want out of your business, I call those rabbits. You want the money, success, the impact, a car, a house, whatever it is. You're chasing those rabbits all the time, and you're gonna catch them, but you're gonna have to learn how to chase a rabbit. Bottom line, or you can build a trap, right? So and within that, it's trial and error with that rabbit trap. Bottom line. So whether it be adding another component like a copywriting, your visuals, whether it be the networking pieces, whether it be the referral groups, whatever it is, you got to try things out to figure out how to trap more rabbits at the end of the day. So if you try something new and it's not catching anything, continue to work at it and continue to add and build on it until you can actually get the things that you want out of there. And again, like we said, double your rates out here.
Yeah.
Charge the big bucks. So the better the trap, the bigger the rabbit.
And every time you try something and it doesn't work, you've learned something along the way too,
100%,
right? Yeah. And even if it's not going to be part of your niche, you're still going to carry that little bit of skill that you developed on a failed project. I think failure is a great lesson for even in developing what you want to do. Yeah. You got to fail at something to figure 100%. Out what you're not good at.
Yeah. And I think, and this segues into something I wanted to ask as well. Of course, that trial and error, you're starting to see a constant theme amongst that trial and error as far as things working and not working. And a constant theme I see with you, we just met, journalism, being a pastor, now into copyright, just using words all together. And that goes into our slogan here, the formula, the constant is you, right? So no matter what we do in business or in life, the constant is ourselves, right? How we're showing up, how we're not showing up as well, our strengths, our weaknesses, those things all come out within the business. And just actually, do you see that when you deal with your clients? As far as like you're saying, somebody's a fun person, but in reality, they show up on time, they have a product. So when you're trying to define that DNA of that client, we're trying to define that story, that vision, do you see a lot of that reflecting from that person as far as does that vision and mission reflect the person that you're working with?
Yeah, it depends. So a lot of times it does the initial business model comes from a specific person, right? Mm-hmm. Because it usually starts out as a solopreneur concept, and then it morphs into a bigger business. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times when you are starting out, we want to capture all that personality and all those backstory pieces that are specific to you and translate it into a brand story. And sometimes you are selling just yourself. Yeah. If you're a life coach, if you're a photographer or presenting yourself in a way where you're bringing something to it, like in an art way or in a perspective way, you're bringing something to the client that's specific to you. You want to capture that personality and that backstory of you personally within the brand story, for sure. So I work with clients to figure out what that is and how they want to present themselves. If it's a personality-based brand story writing, I have some like really funny questions that I ask them, like even like, what's your favorite drink? Like, because it kind of little things will eventually put together who you are
Hennessy
and how
on the
that's
rocks.
unique. What was it? I'm sorry.
Hennessy on the rocks.
I like it.
Nah, I'm playing. I don't drink Hennessy no more, but give me a Buffalo Trace with some ginger beer and I'll be happy.
Oh, that sounds good. See, and that's unique, Yeah. And everyone's got something a little unique, a little flavor that adds something different and allows people, again, you find your specific people.
There it is.
So if you're doing photography and you love coffee, you may not connect with all the tea people. It's just little unique things.
Very true, very true. And that's the beauty of everything as far as entrepreneurship. Because you go into these industries, a lot of things are already established. Like in my industry, as far as the law, there's been super established law firms, and there's a super established way to do things with just randomly doctors, photography, copywriting, construction, you name it. There's, of course, different ways to do things within the law, within your industry standards and guidelines. But when you bring in your own unique way of doing things, your own unique way of operating, that can't be replicated. And if somebody does try to replicate it, it can only last for so long because you're going to evolve and change, and they have to react to your evolving and changing as well. So you can really pave the way once you really get to a deep understanding of who you are and what you're bringing into every situation, and of course, in this context, your business. And that's why it's so important to us. We say the constant is you, because once you really dive into you, your business can really flourish. Because there's already a set way to do the business. Now just add in your spice and your DNA to it, and watch it explode.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and if you got to replicate, if you got to copy somebody, copy it.
Yeah.
Copy it.
Yeah.
Because that gives you at least a taste of what you want. You know what I mean? So sometimes I don't just copy from one place. I might copy from 5 different places. You got to start somewhere
100%.
of a vision of what you want. But you can't not work. You got to keep working and like customize it, right? You don't want to be lazy with it. You want to copy so you have a taste of a direction of where I want to go. Mm-hmm. So I could make a copy of a bunch of different things and give it to Juliana. Like, hey, this is the vibe and the feeling and direction I want to go with it. And then she could do her thing, and then she might give it to me. And even with that, even when she give it to me, I'm like, okay, this is the final copy, but even then I might add in a little bit of things that make it more personalized to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, as long as they start, like I'm one of them guys that's be like, okay, you got an idea, or you want to do a podcast, or we recording today.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys.
How you think you got me? I'm like, we're talking about this podcast. Like, I'm not playing. I got the mics, right? I'm like, yo, relax. He's like, no, we're doing this. And then you bought the machine. I'm like, he's not playing around at all. He's all in. You all in.
The execution closely follows the idea when RJ's in the room.
Like, okay, remember that podcast you're talking about? Yeah, I started. I'm like, yo, this is the first episode. He sent it to me. I'm like, RJ's on it.
Don't brainstorm.
Oh no! Yeah. He's going. But that's real, and that relates back to it again. It's all trial and error. If you don't have any trials, you don't get any error. You have any error, you don't find the solutions. No solutions, you're just gonna be stuck, right?
And I like what you said about like using copying, and I don't want to I don't encourage plagiarism, but when you start out as an artist, you say, what are your influences? Oh, I have all these, and you list a bunch, right? Mm-hmm. If you're just copying one band, then you're what is that called? I've lost it.
Cloning, like you just like it's just
plagiarizing.
So you're just using that band, and you're just a copy of the band. You're playing all their music. You don't want to do that. You want to create a bunch of different influences and have that so I'm going to use a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm going to pull this all together, and this is what I uniquely am. These are my influences, but now I've created something unique out of it. So,
yeah, that makes total sense. Because I do that all the time, even with fashion, even with styles. Like, I'm no fashionista, but I have to, my brand is me. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, so how do I want to represent myself when I'm walking around? I just got some dreads up in here, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm shaking my dreads, you know what I mean?
I feel you.
But so me and him, we just went through some big transitions. He came from the waves and the spin, the Steve Harvey hairline, and just went all the way off.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm coming from the fro and say, okay, let's twist this thing up.
Yeah.
You know, but even with that, it's like testing and trial and error. Like, okay, how do I feel with it? How can I upkeep with it?
Yeah.
And then looking at different styles, right? Looking at different. I'm sure you looked at so many different guys with the bald heads and different things. Like, okay, how could I do my beard? How am I leverage it? Or even just the point of just like, okay, how can I upkeep it?
Yeah, that
you
part
feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like,
I feel like there's only one style when you have a bald head.
Yeah, it's kind of a one-way ticket.
It's a one-way, but how they do? I'm sure it's a razor blade. I'm sure they have different things, but it's like they have this shaving thing,
right,
and even the oil, or even like the aftershave. You feel what I'm saying? I'm sure they use a different shave than they use on their beard. So there's so much strategy behind it, even though it's like a simple bald head. But I'm sure it go deep because
it does. I did have to ask a few questions to some bald headed people I know, and like the different types of razors. Some have like 5 blades, some have 1, and how that affected me, and the different the aftershave and like you said, the oils as well, and how often I'm supposed to be shaving the whole thing. So I have my own system, and this is the beautiful ball that you see here now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. And now you got your customized system. Like,
exactly.
Hey, this is the Gary system right here.
Some trial and error.
Trial and error.
We've used this metaphor to its fullest extent.
Altogether.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I just like whenever I have an idea, I do think it through, but I always like to take imperfect action very fast because that's the only. Sometimes a lot of people with entrepreneurship, they have the idea of this product, but they're afraid of the product to fail. They're afraid of how to react to failure. So sometimes I've failed. I feel like if the client is not happy, I fail. I'm not gonna blame them. I'm gonna blame myself. So there's instances where I've failed, but that has allowed me to then, like I was saying with the onboarding, I need to implement more questions on the onboarding, or when the client becomes a client, set clear expectations. Like if I send you a video, that means you have to review it within 3 days, right? Or that's going to change the timeline of the deadline, and just like certain things, it might add another email into my into the conversation timeline, right? So I might, instead of like communicating to them after the first draft, I might send an email the date of the production day. Like, hey, it's production day. After this production, you can expect the first draft within 7 to 10 days. You know what I mean? Little things like that have allowed me, but you have to be willing to fail.
That's that part as far as actionable steps. And another networking group that I utilize and engage with in the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. And from there, I help like curate some events for like young professionals. And I've been working with Dr. Islandi Pierre from FIU, and she puts on the design thinking workshop. So it's like how to think and how to ideate and bring those ideas to life in a very systematic way. It's some technique that was perfected in Cornell, if I'm not mistaken. And one part of that is a 5-part series, but one part in there is ideation, actual ideation, thinking and spitballing, getting everything out there, right? But that's the fun part, because everything great can happen in your head, right? And it's perfect, right? I have an idea. I want to create the television, create the camera, create a podcast. It's perfect. It's done. Boom. And we get stuck there, right? So it's just the step after ideation into a plan. And from that plan, putting energy, like real physical energy, into trial period or experimentation. I'm sorry, and putting it out there. So we do get stuck, and I've been stuck in that as well in different aspects of my life as well. As far as ideation, like I think my ideas are great, like all the time, and doesn't help that I work with myself. I'm a solo law firm, so if I'm having those ideas, I have nobody to spit them off from time to time. I can get stuck in that. But where does the execution happen? So you have to make those actionable steps, especially if you're working with your clients. They're coming at you with an idea, with a problem that for you to solve. And you give the idea, you give the solution, but there has to be action on their part as well to move this thing along too. And setting that clear expectation gets them out of the ideation into those next steps and getting to a resolution or solution.
Yeah, 100%. And let's talk about it, since you just mentioned it. And I want you to talk about it as well, because when we're introducing our prices and even dealing with a client, what really helped me is that not committing to the sale. Not committing to, like, this has to be my client. So me not committing to that make me ask the hard questions. Allow me to set those expectations. Like, hey, if you can't meet me at this requirement, we are not going to be a good fit. Yeah, we're not going to be a good if you know what I mean. This is the minimum budget that we could work with. If we're trying to have a success on this campaign, if we can't meet here, we're not going to be able to work. Like, being able to set those ground rules, because I'm not committed to the sale. I'm committed to overall the success of this campaign, and that's what I'm here for. So I've done this before. This is what is going to be required for us to be able to make this a success. If you want to do something else, some other proven system that you've Googled or seen on YouTube and tried out with us, we can't risk it, because what if the campaign failed? Now it's going to reflect on us bad. So not committing, being like, and I want you to talk about even your pricing and like how you have that conversation with the client and to let them know, like, this is what it is. This is our process, and this is why you should trust me.
Yeah, I think it is about setting those clear expectations, right? If you have a system that you are selling and producing over and over again, then you're able to present it very clearly to the potential client. You got to keep it in the potential zone until they sign that contract, right? But to the potential client, and then they can. They could either sign on and go with that, or they don't, and that's okay. Like, I think that's a big lesson when you're first starting out, is to be okay when you don't catch those fish that you are bent on that you're like, okay, just because you have a sales call doesn't mean you've got a client, right?
Yes.
You have to be okay with just presenting what you do well, and if they're not on board for that, if they can't meet that price point, you got to move on, right? You got to find that, you got to leave space for the next client that is going to come in and going to meet you right in that spot. And I think that's important. So
That is highly important. We should have had you here last episode because we were talking about, because I was talking about the door law situation, right? What that did was take away all my time from things I actually wanted to do, and to become that, we said, knowledge or thought leader in the space that I wanted to be, because I was so preoccupied doing a million different things I didn't want to do.
Right.
So carving out that lane is just highly important, and no need to say no. But I would speak to the new entrepreneurs out there. It's scary to say no. You have bills due. You have this vision that you want to make happen. Something does come through your door. You're like, hey, I'll do it for half the price because I just need something. Right. But you have to carve out that lane if you really want to make real money. If you want to have longevity and make it sustainable, because it's not sustainable to take on new projects that have nothing to do with what you want to do. You were talking about coding or something of that nature. It might take you 50 hours to learn Python or whatever this coding stuff is, and somebody can do it in 3 minutes, right? Pass those things off to somebody else who can do it. And that's where the beauty of networking referrals come into, because they will do the same thing to you because they know exactly what to go to you for. You can't be a formless, shapeless person, and you can't be a formless, shapeless business as well. Have defined lines as far as what you want to do and communicate that well. And so that way you can get what you need to get, and you can say no to what you need to say no to.
Yeah. I think that's key. So, and we, especially when you're starting out, like you said, like you want to just take the job and, okay, I'll do it for half price and we'll just this one time, but you get stuck in that space, right? Yeah. And then you end up spending this same amount of time to produce the product that took you, and you don't have space to bring on someone else at the price you wanted them to come in on, right? And so you just have to, it has to be okay to turn down some people, or just limit. So what I tell people that are in the space where they're like, I want to be able to work with this person, limit the scope of what you're doing, right? So you can say like, okay, I can't write, for my instance, I can't write you can't afford the copy for your entire website, like that's too much. But we could start with an about page. We can start with something small that will get us working together, get us in the door, and then you can build from there. Or you build it out over a couple months. Like there's ways to do what you do at the price point you do it without compromising your time and your effort, and still working with the people you want to work with, and I think that's real. Key.
I think that's a form of self-care right there. You're going to drive yourself crazy trying to do everything for everybody.
It's true.
So I think we're getting to a point where we're wrapping up a bit. But before we go, we would love to know, of course, just a quick elevator pitch. Give us your contact so that way our viewers who do need those copywriting services, go ahead and contact you and get everything situated.
Sure. So my company is called Torres Mason Writing Agency. You can find me at torresmason.com, TORRESMASON.com, or nonprofit-storyteller.com. And I help brands and particularly nonprofits tell their stories so they're able to stand out in the crowd. And I can do that through a variety of ways, but I would love to work with you if you're in my niche and in my
Yes. Because you say no
in
too.
My level of expertise.
But, oh man.
But
yeah. So thank you so much for
appreciate
having for. I almost turned it around, but thank you for being on our podcast.
Yeah.
We enjoyed having you on here. You are our first guest on The Formula.
First official guest.
I'm so glad to be that. This has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate chatting with you guys, and we should do it again.
Yes, 100%. All right. Well, I'm Gary, and this is
RJ Deed
and
Juliana Torres Mason.
So thank you for joining the Formula Podcast. The constant is
you. Let's go.